What's up, people? BCHQ discussion time, episode 32. Let me start off, just apologise that there wasn't a video yesterday. I've had a hectic week, to be honest, and I just haven't had for the way to go just because the majority think it is. Like, take battle rap for instance. You get all these polls and votes, and they're very one-sided sometimes, and people take that as facts. Like, that's how it was, and that's, like, you can't argue with that amount of people agreeing on something. But at the same time, there's going to be the same amount of people that feel it went the other way, and they just wouldn't have voted on a poll. So I think you need to be very careful when it's a public opinion, because you can alter someone's life drastically, and I think you have to know all the facts and ins and outs of the situation before criminalising someone. Like, as I said, you can change someone's life in a click of a finger, so I think you have to be very cautious when it comes to public opinion. Do I think she should have been fired? I mean, look, everyone has times where they just feel like they're gonna snap, or they do snap. Now, depending on how far they take that, you have to judge it on each individual case. I believe that if it's bad enough, then she should get fired, but I haven't seen this video. I remember when it come out, I saw like a still shot of it, but I never actually watched it. So depending on the severity of the situation, then you can say whether or not she should get fired. But ultimately, that comes down to the company and the business that she works for, not the public. Is public opinion like the jury or democracy, in that people have a say in what happens to you? Well, this is what I'm saying. I think it can be, and I think it's very dangerous, because people just judge on an instant of seeing a video of something and not know the story behind it. I'm myself guilty of that. I think we all are, but not a lot of people will admit it, that they will click something and instantly judge someone without knowing the story behind it. I don't think it's a good thing at all if the public does have the say, or the final say, unless they've got the facts down. Then fair enough, but if not, it's very dangerous. Is there an overwhelming majority of people that are outraged? Then should that play into a person's punishment? No, I don't think it should, because like, I can understand why people could be outraged with certain things, but as I said, unless you know the facts, it shouldn't be left to public opinion. Because someone could get imprisoned for the rest of their life without having facts behind it, just because there was an outcry of I want this person locked up when they're not necessarily guilty of something. It's having a large group of people with a particular opinion, a more informed opinion, and that it should be respected. I'd say it influences people if a large number of people, like, say for instance, people that protest, the more people there are that protest, the more the police and the government and the people in higher positions take notice, because whether or not there's an outcome that they want from it, they will take more notice, because they think, well, this is getting a bit out of hand and there's a lot of people there. Whereas if it's, say, 5 people, they're just going to be like, move along, or you might even get arrested on the spot, because they don't want to put all their manpower and funds into moving people on if they don't have to. So it can be more respected, but as I said, you need the facts behind it first. Should there be less weight given to public opinion because it might be pandering to the lowest common denominator? People like to watch people getting hurt or getting their comeuppance and so on. This is partly why we watch films, shows, reality TV and so on. There is a kind of desire to see people get hurt or punished and so on. Now, I can completely identify with this. This is another thing that I think a lot of people won't admit to, but people do like to see people get hurt, and people in unfortunate situations and at a disadvantage, because it makes them feel better about themselves if someone else is in a worse position. And it's a sad thing to do, but I think the majority of people on this planet do that, but a lot of people don't have the courage or the balls to say it. So I can totally see what you're getting at with this. I'd say I'd swing more towards this option, that people like to see people getting hurt and stuff, more so than I think a public opinion should be respected. Would you help get a person get convicted for a crime you know they didn't commit, but they have got away with other crimes? Your testimony guarantees conviction. For example, the person accused of rape, and you know they didn't do it, but you also know that they have got away with identity theft and kidnapping before. So should the person only ever be convicted for the crimes that they actually committed? Or we can say that this is their comeuppance. Just justice allows us to get them on stuff they didn't do because they got away with stuff they did do. Now, this is quite a difficult one. I can see where you're coming from again. Like, if someone's getting away with a crime that you actually know, again, the facts behind it, that they've done this and got away with it, I think it's very dangerous to, like, say for instance they get caught on a paedophile charge, and no, say for instance they get away with what did you say, identity theft, but they're accused of rape. Now, in my eyes, they will get a longer sentence for rape, or they should do, than identity theft. So I don't think they could do like 20 plus more years for a crime that they didn't commit, and if they got caught for the identity theft they might have got 10 years, but they've ended up getting 20 for rape, even though they didn't cause rape, but because they've got previous crimes they've just found out about but didn't prosecute them at the time. So I think that's a very dangerous way to go about it, because you got to think of the family of that person. If it's identity theft or something, like, they're going to kick up a fuss as well. If they've got a big community behind them, they're going to kick up a fuss, and it just leads to like potential other cases, getting like more lawyers and all that shit. And I think it's very dangerous to be put in prison and getting so many years added on to a sentence that you wasn't guilty for, but because they found out previous stuff that they didn't get you at the time for. That should be opened as a separate case, I think. Just reopen it, or start a new one and do it now that they found out about that. but you have to be very careful with it. And lastly, how much does it depend on the crime that the person got away with and the crime they're being accused of but didn't do? So if they're accused of rape, where the sentence is convicted, if convicted, is long, but the crimes they actually did not but got away with were petty crimes for example, or the opposite side of that where he is accused of a petty crime but actually got away with serious crimes. You're not too clear on how you've set that question out. I'm just going through it again. Well, again, I think I kind of answered it in the previous, like, you can't lock someone up on a rape sentence that they're not guilty of and say they get 50 years. You can't have someone put away for 50 years for a crime they didn't commit, when if they'd have got caught for a petty crime, they would have got, what, 5 years, if that? Like, maybe a lot less than that. So you're talking like 15 added years for a crime they didn't commit. And even if they'd have got caught in previous cases for petty crimes, that's 15 less years they would have served. So I think it's a very dangerous game to play. You have to get the facts before going to a certain level and going so far with cases. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend locking someone up for previous crimes on a different charge. I would open up a new case for it and tackle it that way, because you're playing with the system a bit, and I don't think it's... At the end of the day, they're doing criminal activities, but you have to be fair with the punishments for the level of crimes that they're committing. You can't lock someone away 50 years for petty crimes on a false rape charge because you found out all these petty crimes they did before. I don't think that's fair. So, hope I answered your questions alright. Sorry again about the late upload. Also, I watched it this morning once, Charlie Clips and Danny Myers battle. I thought it was a fire battle. I'm currently watching the third round again because I've got Danny taking the first round and I've got Clips taking the second. So I've got to go through the third again because I wasn't too sure. I'll be doing a recap of that at some point. Let me know what you think on that as well. That's up and coming. Yeah, check that battle out as well if you haven't, because it's fire. So I'll see you soon.